Hey y'all, and welcome back to Save the Day with Tara. I am a middle-aged wife living her middle-class life with a budget. This video is a continuation of the prior one, which was setting SMART goals for 2024. What I would like to do for this video is kind of see how I measure up to Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. I used to do Dave Ramsey back in my 20s. I did that when I was a single mom, and I just was on a salary, income was low, and I had to figure out how was I going to like be able to do certain things, get by and pay for stuff. And so I did the cash stuffing method then. This is nothing new. This is all old. And I'm pretty sure before Dave Ramsey, there was somebody else or just people doing this at their own volition because that's what helped them out. The thing about it now is just pretty. It's just real pretty with the binders and all these different challenges and things. But other than that, this is nothing new. And so I'm like, okay, I'm back. I'm back with Dave, following his lead again because I know it worked before. And I'm like, well, how do I measure up now in my late 40s to compared to where I was in my 20s in regards to his baby steps? They really have not changed since he started his program. There's probably been like little bitty changes, but for the most part, this has been his foundation for like about 20 something years. So I know it works. It worked for me in my 20s, and I know it's going to work to get me back on track now. So let me go ahead and these are his 7 baby steps. I am going to pull up my sheet that I actually have. So I have this as a reminder for myself. What are they? Let me go ahead and put this down here. And we're going to pull this up. Here we go. These are basically Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. Okay. And so in those steps, they're really easy. Your first goal is to save this amount, pay off debt, fully fund an emergency fund, savings, don't forget your kids, your home, you can start paying off, build your wealth. Okay, this is my little thing down here because Lord knows this is stressful. So how do I measure up? How do I measure up? All right, so the first one is save $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. Well, I have that. Okay, so this is a check. I actually have 2 emergency funds, and I have a saving account that basically has over this greater than this amount. So it helps me out that I don't have to touch the emergency fund, and I can always just go to the savings account. That's why I work to build up my savings. All right, so that's how we are at the beginning of the year. Now, what about paying off all debt except for the house? And it says use the snowball method. If you're not familiar with the snowball method, basically it is just writing down all the debt that you have and starting with your lowest one, working up. You're just going to pay, put whatever extra money you have towards that debt, no matter the interest, no matter anything, you just pay. And you still have to make your minimum amount of payments on your other debt, but your goal is to start just chipping away at your overall debt. I just have the one major debt, which is the student loan. And I have a plan to at least pay off 3/4 of it by 12/20/24. So let's see what happens. I want to pay it all off at the end of the year, but let's kind of see where it goes. Okay, at least 3/4 of it. Now this one here, number 3, is to save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a fully funded emergency fund. All right. What do I have? Well, this was a great conversation with my husband yesterday. We sat down and we talked about it. Once again, his eyes lit up. He was so happy I was interested. And so we talked about, like, hey, what do we need in order to be able to sustain our living in case of an emergency? And an emergency is not, I lost my job, he lost his job, because we both have professions that are very marketable. So we will always be able to find a position somewhere. Um, Nor is it going to be, hey, I took like maybe a couple of dollars pay cut, because once again, we are very marketable. The thing more so comes along the lines like when you have such things like COVID that happened. When we had the pandemic, what we had to do was, well, he wasn't able to work, I was able to work. I had to go into work. I worked in a hospital. He worked in a hospital as well, but his part of the hospital was shut down. Because they didn't know what was going on at that time. It was only emergency stuff that was going on, allowed to go through. So he did not work, and we had enough saved up that we were able to get through 4.5 months before we really was not dependent on our what do you call that, on our emergency fund that we had saved up. So we talked about that, and I said, okay, I don't want to just have my part of the emergency fund funded. I want to know if you become disabled, which he has a disability, and I do too, but it doesn't matter because disability doesn't necessarily pay out at 100%. Mine is, I think, 40%, and I think his is about 60 or 70. I'm not sure. But in the event he becomes disabled, what all do, how much do I need to have saved up to cover at least 3 to 6 months of expenses? Well, on a monthly basis. He said it is $6,000. We're taking everything into consideration, what I have, what he pays. We don't have car debt. We don't have, he has no student loan debt. I'm the only one with that. And this is being able to make minimum payments on everything. We did account for our insurance policy. We pay every 6 months. Other than that, we have escrow for the house, so we don't pay the taxes and all that. All that goes into escrow, and there's no other bills. And if we have little anomalies such as car taxes and stuff like that, we can make room for that. And so it's 6,000 a month. And I was like, okay, what do I currently have? What do I have? Well, what I found when I took a look at everything is, one, I read that for middle class and other high income earners, you really should have 6 to 8 months. 12 months is being really conservative. 6 to 8 months is very moderate in regards to an emergency fund for your bills and expenses. As I stated, my husband, when we talked, he said that 6,000 a month is what we needed. Well, I found out for me, what I currently have is at least 5 months worth. So I still need, on a minimum, another month to make it 6 months, which really sucks because now I have to add this to my. I didn't care about my emergency fund, which I said it wasn't a priority. To me, it's still not a priority. It's still a low priority fund. But now I'm like, well. So yeah. So right now, at the beginning of the year, as far as me, I have 5 months saved. Okay. Now, granted, like I said, we're middle class, and there's a lot of things between housing, maintaining the house. This doesn't even include us in my lovely pool fund I keep talking about. This is like, we got to go get the pool stuff and maintain the pool ourselves type of thing. This is literally our bills. Okay, so I have 5 months saved, or in an emergency fund. All right, the next thing is to invest 15% of your household income in retirement. Well, that's no, that's not happening. I think I have 5% into a 401k for work. And then yeah, so then I'm going to start contributing, like I think it's 400 a month in April. And I'm of the mind right here, something's better than nothing. Something is better than nothing. Okay, so the next thing is, we're looking at save for your children's college fund. This is going to be a little TMI, but a little background on this. So we have 7 kids altogether. 3 are biologically mine, 2 biologically my husband's, and the other 2 we adopted. They're biologically my great nephews. So they're my biological niece, her kids. The first 5 older kids, everybody, the first 3, my 3 are out of college. Everybody's gone through, did their thing with college. My husband's 2 are currently in college because they're the middles, and because we have the bigs, the middles, and the littles. Well, actually, it's the bigs, the littles, and the boys. And the bigs, they're out of school. The littles are actually, they're in their 20s, early. Well, actually, the boy's 19, so early, late teens, early 20s, college. They're using their 529s now, and the boys, because they're my nieces, they actually ended up, they were in foster care, and custody was about to be lost. We stepped in, we intervened, got custody of them, but because they had been in the system for a while, they were considered I think a disability group. I think that's what it's called. I know I'm saying it wrong, but they have free college set up with the state of Kentucky. And so we don't necessarily need a college fund for boys. They have free tuition. And I'm all about not leaving anything on the table. I've done that a lot during my life, and I'm not going to do that anymore. They have free tuition. The one thing I am doing, though, I am saving for their retirement. That actually can probably go down here in 7, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, hey, if we're not doing this, then what else can we do? So we're saving for their retirement. All right, number 6 is pay off your home early. That is the goal. The goal is to start 1/6/2025. Okay. And what I did was I went to Dave Ramsey's website. You're going to hear me talk about him because it worked. Like I said, it worked in my 20s. It's going to work here in my 40s, my late 40s, early 50s. Um, Went to his website, mortgage payoff calculator. This is our original loan amount. We did put a considerable amount down because we moved states, and we sold one house into another. So we were able to actually get the loan for the offer price. And starting with the first payment in 2025, we plan to do an extra payment of $5,000 a month. It's going to take a lot of effort between my husband and I. At first, it was going to be me, but he was like, "Hey, you know what? I understand the house is your responsibility. However, I'm willing to chip in." Once again, partners working together. That's why it's very important to be open and honest with your partner. So we're going to split this cost. We may actually up that because if we do, we can pay it off in 3.5 years. Once again, we're professionals, we're marketable, and being that way, it's easier for us for our income, and we don't carry a lot of debt. That's our goal, is not to carry a lot of debt. I'm the one with the debt. Anyway, so back to this. So original amount of the loan, which was the asking price, we're going to be paying this much, and then we'll have it paid off. Well, not paid off. We'll start paying it on the 6th of January. That's the first payment of 2025. So as you see over here, it's really great. Our interest rate is 4.75%. I think I heard another person in the community said that theirs was like 2 something. I was so mad. Ours was 2 something as well until we moved. But you know what? Beggars can't be choosy. It's still 4.75, and we got this right before the rate hike. So I appreciate that. All right. And so as you see, look at this. We're going to say 72% on, is it? No, it's 71% on interest. If we had continued on paying this over 30 years, we would have paid 900. Well, that's principal interest. We would have paid $1 million for the house. That I didn't even feel like it was worth this. I feel like all this stuff is overpriced, but that's my opinion. Anyway, and so this is what we would have paid. So I apologize, not just the interest, but the original, we would have paid $920,000, whereas with the extra payments, we're going to pay 614, which is nice. I'm appreciative of that. It's not much more than what our original offer was for, so I'm okay with that. Which once again, if we can knock that pay a little more, knock it down faster, I'm fine because this will even come down. Overall, that's a 71% savings on our interest. So then it takes our payoff date. Look at this. Look at this change, y'all. It takes it from 2052 to 2030. That is 72% faster with the extra payments. So our goal is to have it paid off in 5 years, starting in 2025. And hopefully that comes to fruition, and I would appreciate that. All right, so build wealth and give. Currently, we already give. I have a monthly amount that I do now. I actually set apart instead of just doing it willy nilly. I do $50 a month and I contribute to the food bank in our local area. So does my husband. So he does as well. Sometimes we do other types of donations throughout the year, but the one consistent one is helping with feeding the people in our community. The next thing, as far as building wealth, I think that is also where just I think that's where your 401k comes in. But right now we don't have any outside investments. And this is where we're lacking. And that should have actually been a goal of mine for the year. But right now, I just want to get my debt paid off. So, yeah, right now, no outside investments. That may change during the year. I may decide to open up an outside investment account that doesn't have to do with retirement and start from there because you'd be surprised how fast you can build it. When I was in my 20s, before I had to pay for my daughter to go to a private school for dyslexia, I I had a mutual fund and I was able to contribute. I just contributed $50 a month. Of course, there wasn't a lot of money when I cashed it out in order to start my daughter in her private school, but at the same time, it was just something that was some growth on it. And so just remember, you can start with just like $50. You'd be surprised. Just go out there and find something you contribute $50 to every month. All right, so the last one is mine. It's not even a baby step. It's just like, this is just for encouragement. Stay focused and don't stress. So let's see, where am I at? I'm focused. I am very focused. I appreciate having this channel because that's like also accountability. There's nothing like accountability. So you guys are my accountability partners. And stress. I am stressed. Why am I stressed? So the stressful part of all of this is getting started. It's thinking about what funds you need, looking at your paycheck and saying, okay, how am I able to allocate this between here? Actually identifying your goals, your debts, looking at the things that you spent money on, and just saying, reeling it in, identifying what is a real necessity compared to what is a want. So it's just so much. And it's been sort of a journey in the month of December, but I think I kind of have it. And coming up with my financial goals, 2, seeing how I compare with the baby steps, and then 3, actually setting up a budget and going from there really does help. And it takes a little while because throughout this month, I had to kind of say, hey, I do need this fund, but I don't need this fund. I really don't need as many funds as everybody else has because I don't have those same. My situation is different than that situation. So, it's a little stressful figuring that out. But I know as it goes along and I get more settled, it's going to be easier to kind of figure things out, budget things, and move along. So, you know what, guys? I hope this information helped you. I hope that you are able to say, you know what, I want to do this, and let me see where I stand and what do I need to do going forward to get myself aligned with just these simple steps and moving forward with my financial future. All right, guys. So let me tell you what. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on those notification bells, and save the day.